Hello guys, in this video we are going to see about the tool PHP Filter Chain Generator. It is a fantastic tool for exploiting PHP deserialization and LFI vulnerabilities. My name is Josan George, certified in PNPT and CRTP. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on LinkedIn by scanning the QR code. Without wasting any time, let's get started. What is PHP Filter Chain Generator? It is a Python coded tool used for generating complex filter chains in PHP. It is useful for exploiting LFI vulnerabilities and PHP deserialization. It helps us to create complex payload, for example, to get a RCE using LFI. Why is it important? It automates the generation of complex payloads. It can be used to exploit in CTFs and also in real world pen testing. PHP filters overview. What are PHP filters? It is a mechanism to manipulate the file streams. For example, converting it to base64 or vice versa. Let's look into some of the common use cases. Bypassing restrictions in file inclusion vulnerabilities. Also, it is used to leverage PHP deserialization to manipulate objects. So now let's look into the tool. It is an open source tool developed by Synaptic. It is used to generate payloads to execute complex filter chains. There are several features that highlights this tool. That is to automate payload creation, and also it supports multiple filters. Let us consider an example. Let's assume that you have found a LFI vulnerability in a target endpoint. It is possible for us to get remote code execution, that is RCE, using this tool. So let's jump into the lab and tool setup. For the lab, we are going to use TryHackMe room called CTF. So we will be needing a TryHackMe account to access the lab. And we need to find the LFI vulnerable endpoint in the target machine. For the tool setup, all we have to do is clone the repository. It's time for the practical session. Our methodology, as I disclosed earlier, we need to identify a vulnerable endpoint, for example, a LFI, and we need to create payload using PHP Filter Chain Generator, and then we can try to get an RCE. This is the room that I mentioned in TryHackMe. So I have already deployed the machine. This is the IP address. I'm going to enumerate this endpoint and find the LFI vulnerability. This is the website that's running on the server. So I have tried to enumerate the directories in the endpoint, and I got a login.php and messages.html. For the time being, I know that the LFI vulnerability is in this endpoint. So I am redirecting to this particular endpoint. We are just able to see one hyperlink that takes us to an endpoint. So let me click this. So this particular endpoint uses a PHP filter and it takes the resource called super secret message for admin. So let's try for LFI vulnerability. Let's just try a simple LFI payload, that's etc password, and we were able to get the contents of etc password. So our first condition is satisfied, that is to find the LFI vulnerability or the LFI vulnerability endpoint in an application. So now we can try to use the PHP filter chain generator to generate a payload and execute. So this is the PHP filter chain generator tool, and I have just used the help tag to display the options, and we are going to use the chain option to chain the vulnerability. Now let's try to generate a payload so that we can view the PHP info page. So let me construct the chain. So I need to use the Python 3 followed by the script name or the tool name, that is PHP filter chain generator, and the option that I'm going to use, that's hyphen hyphen chain. Then I'm going to create a PHP payload that is used to display the PHP info page. As you can see, we have got the PHP filter chain. I'm just going to copy this and paste it in the endpoint. As you can see, this renders the PHP info page. With this proof of concept, we are satisfied that the endpoint is vulnerable to LFI to RC. So let's try to get a reverse shell. For that, we need to create a reverse shell in our local machine so that we can download it in the target and run that. So let's create a simple reverse shell. So nano reverse. I'm just going to create a reverse shell here. We need a IP, so I'm going to copy my IP address, paste it here, and we need to specify the port. In this case, I'm going to leave it to 4444. Then this is the payload I'm going to use for the reverse shell. Now I need to host the file in my local system. Now that we have hosted the file, we need to create a new chain to curl and execute the command or the reverse shell. So for that, we are going to use a simple PHP code like this. So let me show that. So instead of typing the PHP and echo, I'm using a shorthand here. So basically, this is a shorthand of PHP echo this is the full form, and I'm using a shorthand here. So I'm using the shorthand. Let's use curl to curl my endpoint and execute the let me use curl to curl my endpoint and execute the bash file. So I'm using this. For that, let's use HTTP just in case, and it's running on port 8000. The file name is reverse, and I need to pipe it and directly run bash. So once it curls, it will run it using bash. So I will get a reverse shell. I'm listening for the reversal here. So let me run this and get the payload. Since it's a large content, let's pipe it into a file and let me name it exploit. Let me open it in Sublime Editor, and this is the PHP filter that we need to inject in the target endpoint. Let me confirm that I'm listening for the incoming connection. Yes. Let me inject it here. Start. I forgot to start the server. So let me run the exploit once again. As you can see, the page hangs. This is a good sign that we got a reversal. So this is the proof of concept that we can use filter chain generator to create a payload and gain a reversal using LFI vulnerability. That's it for a practical section. Hope you enjoyed my practical section. So the explanation. Filter chain I applied sequentially to achieve the desired output. By this, we can control the filter and gain the necessary output what we require. This can lead to remote code execution. So how the tool works? It takes the input parameters such as filters or the target content or the payload that we want to craft. Then it creates a PHP code chain, filter chain. This is used to exploit the endpoint and get the desired output or the RCE. So what are the mitigations? We need to disable unnecessary PHP filters, validate and sanitize user inputs, and use the latest PHP version. So let's look into the conclusion. So the PHP filter chain generator simplifies complex exploit scenarios. It is effective in identifying and exploiting vulnerabilities in CTFs and real world applications. So let's look into some of the references if you want to gain in-depth knowledge. So the GitHub repository and the detailed explanation by the Synaptic itself, and exploit notes and hack tricks and the CTF try hack me room. Thank you for watching this video.